Someone from the ERG Champs community sent me this, and when I first saw it, I was like, that looks a little familiar. And then I was just in shock as I read through it because they were the exact talking points from my video. Now, that's not the biggest issue here. Stolen content, whatever, I can get over. But here's the thing is that this version of the content was way off. And I just want to give you all the heads up. This way you all can know what actually to follow. And also this is my reminder to you to not trust everything that you see on the internet about employee resource groups. Let's get into it. Now, in March, I actually put out a newsletter that had compliance guidelines. And just know that this was not the first time that I've been talking about compliance-related things when it comes to ERGs. Not just with the recent executive orders, but even outside of that, I have really been thinking about ERGs and their legal positioning for almost the past year. I've actually been talking about it since about July. Every now and then in my conversations, I would mention unions, and I started having these conversations with people in the space so that they can actually tell me where the line is. Now, I say that to say I've been doing months of research when it comes to ERG legalities, okay? And probably our most popular long form video on YouTube is on this topic. And just know I had done this presentation 3 times live before I actually recorded it in this format because I wanted to get the information right. I say this again to say, I don't just come to you all with fluff or just the easiest thing. I come to you all researched and I want you all to succeed. Now, on the other hand, oftentimes I see that other people in the ERG space might just want to get some stuff out there, whatever. So I can clearly tell that this is a case where someone downloaded my YouTube transcript, plugged it into ChatGPT and said, make a compliance guideline. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that were wrong with that just so you all can have a heads up. And I want to note, I am not a lawyer, which I always state with all of my material. And at the end of the day, you should consult your internal legal counsel or your company can consult external legal counsel. I am only speaking to the things that I have heard directly from lawyers. And with that said, let's get into it. Now, just like me, go figure, they put out a newsletter and had the download for their compliance guide, something that I had done a month before. Now, with this, in their newsletter, they actually insinuated that ERGs should not be company-led. They actually said gone or top-down ERGs. Wow, was that wrong? I feel like there's a huge misunderstanding when it comes to what I mean when I say that ERGs are operating like unions. The issue isn't the fact that they're structured by the company, employee-led groups. That's not the issue. It's only when those employee groups actually start to try to champion for inclusive benefits and policy and actually do things that unions do, or if they're positioned in a way of a union at all, such as the ERG leaders being referred to as representatives of their larger community. That would be an example of something that is union-like that they are now dabbling with into. The issue is not in a company establishing an employee group. That's not an issue. Even then, they gave an example of a case and they tried to use this as proof, saying that, hey, with this case, you can see that this company got in trouble for establishing an employee-led group. Not true. That company got in trouble because they were establishing an employee-led group and supporting an employee-led group, but that group was trying to champion for better wages. Again, when you're dabbling into benefits, wages, working conditions, that is when it's out of scope. That's kind of the things that we've been talking about. This way, your ERG program does not operate as an illegal union, an employer-dominated union. As a matter of fact, governance and structure is probably going to be the thing that saves your ERG program. Because, in fact, if you don't have governance, that is what makes so that people overstep into the inappropriate spaces, such as championing benefits, which, again, they probably wouldn't know unless you had it documented. And that's why I oftentimes talk about the 3 Ps of ERGs and things like that. But I say this to say governance, structure, support, those are good things. Now, also aligned with support, they also mentioned that executives should only be involved with ERGs for administrative things, which is kind of a wild statement if I'm being honest. You mean to tell me that an executive with very little time should be involved in the admin work of the ERG? No, not at all. Not at all. Executive support and boosting engagement, mentorship, all these things, that is more than okay. The issue again is when management, aka executives, is involved in employee-led activity toward championing unionization topics, such as benefits and things like that. That is a dynamic that does not mix. But again, ERGs in a perfect world, they're not that. They can attend every single meeting, even the ERG leader meetings. But again, when it crosses into the territory of we are into advocacy, essentially, that is when it becomes a problem, because now it's an issue of management, the company, versus the employees. Specifically, the phrase is bargaining units. That's what we don't want our ERG programs to operate as. And yes, we are getting into that territory dangerously, as I pointed out in my original material. Those are the two top issues that I found in this, but just a quick rapid fire of some of the other things that I saw that I was not a fan of. One, saying that one of the major factors of ERG leadership selection should be merit and skill. Wow. Okay, we're missing the point here. When it comes to ERGs, and I mean, I think that's the whole conversation when it comes to merit versus inclusion, all these things. At the end of the day, if you're just basing it off of merit, then that means that you're trying to find the most qualified person to run this ERG, and qualified is subjective. At the end of the day, even then, as an ERG leader, ideally the position of being an ERG leader is something that can actually help you grow in your career. So by you already trying to find someone who's at this level, you're actually taking away from the people who could really benefit from this position the most, as a volunteer opportunity to kind of flex their skills and move up in their career. So I have never been a fan of trying to find someone who was already qualified for ERG leadership, because again, you're taking away the opportunity from those who need it. And also, can I mention too, yes, I'm passionate because I used to be one of those people. I was an hourly support employee when I first found out about ERGs. And if that had been applied at the time at the company that I was at, I would never be where I am. You wouldn't be getting this video today. If you actually structure the ERG program correctly and the roles correctly, anyone could be an ERG leader, because it's just that simple. It's a volunteer role. It's not like we say, hey, to go serve food at the food shelter, you have to be qualified leadership. Like, at the end of the day, we just need someone who can do this simple task to benefit people. That's the same concept that ERGs need to have, and definitely need to have a lot more than they do. So that's completely off. I thought this was interesting. Changing an ERG's name from Black Employee Network to Black Leadership. What'd they say? Black Leadership and Excellence. What? Like, it's just sometimes, like, if you really use AI, you can tell when AI has just pumped something out that you think is what you're looking for. Black Employee Network and Black Leadership and Excellence. It's so superficial, which is ironic because a lot of the things in the ERG space are superficial. So can I really be surprised at this? Probably not. By the way, I think that's another pet peeve of mine, because I think in the ERG space at large, the reason why this industry is where it's at is because of those superficial changes that literally mean nothing. And this one in particular literally means nothing. Actually not working on the back end of the program, which is really where a lot of the change needs to be done. That's a huge reason why we are where we are in the ERG space. And that is also something that's nowhere here mentioned. Question what you read online. Things should come with a source. Like, they shouldn't just be like, hey, we said it because we are in the ERG space, although we've never run an ERG program, and therefore we know what's best. What? Okay. Definitely the biggest two by far, though, is just the misunderstanding with what I'm speaking about when I talk about the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, and its relativity to ERGs. And that's the thing here. And I think that all this mini rant really comes down to the fact that, one, again, as a solo business owner, like, to take time to like research a topic like this, which has never really been broached when it comes to ERGs, and try to give resources, it actually is like, it low-key sucks to have people just like rip your content. But again, for me to be here for you all, like, I really want to set you all up for success. It infuriates me when people just rip the content and misinterpret it and give that to you all and position themselves as experts, and without even any credit to me. Like, dang, you can't even give me credit. That's wild. That's why integrity is one of the values of the ERG movement. I just want to be real in this moment, and I think that this is the start of something new. The ERG movement is here to give you the best. Truly, I want the ERG movement to be viewed as like the gold standard within the ERG space. And that means that we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of things that are not gold standard in the ERG space. And that's what sets us apart. I really want to give you all the best, and for the rest, acknowledge and give you all the frameworks to be able to evaluate it for yourself. Just know this is part one of probably many, of don't trust everything that you read online or even that you get from AI around ERGs. Catch you in the next one.